In the night, living the life.
Bismillah, assalamu alaikum.
And a very warm welcome to Living the Life on Tuesday, the 11th of June, with Naeem Raza
and Rahim Jung. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Coming up in tonight's program, we'll be finding out why these young children were walking the streets of East London.
That's right. Here to tell us more about it, we're joined by Abbas Aziz, Adnan Sohail, Hasnain Abbas, and Ambreen Nazir. Assalamu alaikum to you guys over there. Now, I've got a question.
In my days, that's totally different.
I've got a question. Did you guys walk here today?
No, not quite.
I think so. I didn't think so.
You see, they're all
We're
tired
going to
out.
find out a little bit more. Also on the program tonight, the new look GCSE guidelines were set out earlier. On today's show, we'll be looking at how this will affect the exam process for thousands of children.
That's right. Here to help us understand that, we're joined by Curriculum Leader for Business Studies and Economics at a secondary school, Saha Zahid. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Good, alhamdulillah.
What did you have here? Exams in your days?
Exams, it was exams.
Exams
yeah.
straightforward.
Yeah, exams.
Could have done rubbish all year round.
Yeah, and then just that one day, sort it all out.
Just spent 2 weeks studying, that was it.
2 weeks, be lucky. Anyway, come on.
And later on in the programme, we'll be treated to some delicious Algerian sweets.
That's right. Can't wait for that. Our final guest of the night will be showing us how to make traditional Algerian mushwek sweets. I hope I said that right. Mushwek sweets. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show. MashaAllah. Going to be showing us how to make, Sister Amina.
I think the sister's made some earlier, which I'm going to try.
That's
and
right. We're going to be trying those out.
Inshallah. Well, that's all coming up, including, of course, that tasty treat. But before that, it's time for this. Well, story of the day. It's a little bit different today, but it basically focuses around our working life. And what is it? Warwick Business School, Surbiton High School, UK Commission for Employment and Skills, Scandinavian Journal of Work, Environment and Health, Institute of Leadership Management, Doodle, OfficeBooker.com, basically placed a survey and an article in one of the papers to say how employees can be motivated more at work.
That's right. And it's talking about who is happiest at work. Apparently, teachers are the happiest. 83% of them
Teachers
said
always
they
complain
love
about the kids.
They do. But the 83% said they love their job. But today, what we're asking you is how intrusive, how overwhelming have emails become?
Forget about emails. There's 9,000 hours, I believe, of meetings in their careers.
Do you know what? It wouldn't be if I was the manager. I can tell you that. Do you know what? In America, what they do, in some big companies, they stand up for the meetings, and that way, instead of spending 3 hours in a meeting, you spend like 15 minutes. Well, look,
the question today is...
Hold on. It's a question with a difference.
It is a question. There's a competition today.
Oh, blimey.
One of the statistical analysis was how many emails does the average British worker send and receive throughout the year?
And if you get the answer right, or the closest we get, so that question again, what is the average average British worker sends and receives how many emails
in
each
a year?
Because it's become overwhelming emails.
It has.
This is what you're going to win. You're going to win.
This is from Medina Healthcare. They've sent this beautiful hamper. I don't know what it's in. It's wrapped so...
Oh, it's all soapy, smelly, nice stuff.
It looks really nice,
anyway,
alhamdulillah.
That's our competition question for today. For your chance to win, listen up closely to these details.
For a chance to win this beauty hamper courtesy of Medina Healthcare products, answer the following question. The average British worker sends and receives how many emails a year? Send us your answers to livingthelife@islamchannel.tv or tweet us at islamchannel using hashtag LTLife. The winner will be the person who guesses closest to the correct answer, so think carefully before sending us your guesses. For full terms and conditions, visit www.islamchannel.tv.
How many emails do you receive a day?
Me, hardly any. Hardly any. I try to avoid them. They're like a noose, man. They're like a chain.
I'm in the hundreds at the moment. At least 100 plus anyway on a daily basis. And that's probably that's not even average. It's probably below the average.
Well, look, whoever sends us in a tweet with the answer closest, or even maybe bang on if someone gets it, to the average amount of emails that are sent and received in a year, you're going to win that lovely hamper of smelly stuff.
Well, look forward to seeing what happens on our tweet feed. Just over a week ago, a large group of children were seen walking the roads of East London, all of 2.8 miles.
That's right. It was all in aid of a noble cause, raising awareness for millions of children who suffer from hunger and malnutrition in developing countries.
Well, joining us in the studio, a group who themselves took part in the walk. Welcome to Living Life, two of the leaders, Abbas, Aziz and Adnan Sahil.
And also children, Hasnain Abbas and Amrin Nazir. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome all of you to Living the Life.
And welcome to the placards.
And you didn't walk here today?
No.
Unfortunately, we didn't.
Well, listen,
shattered.
Abbas, let's just go back to the Minhaj school. You were in Forest Gate, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
On the main road?
Romford Road, yeah.
Yeah, I've prayed
The
Tarawih there
infamous
once or twice. I
Romford
used to
Road.
live in Stratford at one point. It's a nice leisurely walk,
Yeah.
getting towards it. Now, the kids behind you, they're, mashallah, involved within the school itself.
That's right, yeah. There's students.
Now, you could have done a lot of different things. Why did you pick up that particular topic?
Well, basically, what it is, we have a sister organisation, Minhaj Welfare Foundation, that
That's
run
right, yes.
various initiatives, welfare initiatives. And it was quite striking because of the 2.8 miles, as you mentioned, which was significant because here in this country, obviously, we just turn the tap on and we have water facilities and all sorts of amenities in this country. But children in Africa and South Asian countries actually have to walk 2.8 miles. So the figure was quite significant. And we were trying to instill within the children an understanding of how difficult it can be in these countries just to achieve something as simple as clean water.
Do you know, I was in Tanzania a couple of weeks ago and had to walk with children from a village to go and get water. I went with them on the water collection. And I went down to the water hole, and not only was I unable to keep up with these little children, they were 9 years old, 8 years old, they were carrying more water than I was, they were so strong, but the quality of the water was so poor, I wouldn't even have washed in it, let alone drunk it.
Exactly.
But as you said, that's the reality. How did your children, do you think, how engaged were they with this when you explained what was happening at None?
Well, before we actually did the work, we had held various workshops. For Minhaj Welfare Foundation, and especially for our organisation, most of the charities, their focus is children as the recipients of aid. Yeah. We wanted to change that. We wanted to include children and make them part of a real change, make them involved within charitable giving and make them understand the importance of the world that they live in. Because we live in London, for example, a population of more than, say, 4 or 5 million people, but the world is beyond London. There's more than 7 billion people that live in this world, and at least 1 billion people are poor. But one of the most important things is that we learned from this, that the children were engaged and they created the self-conscious, they were aware of what they were doing. And something that Sabir mentioned whilst he was walking along with us, well, I'll say walking along with us, he was getting in and out of the car.
I can't see him walking 2.8 miles.
But something which he said, which was quite touching, he goes, the first time I ever walked with a group of children that knew what they were walking for as well. Yeah. So we sort of instilled in their minds that 2.8 miles is a distance that any child in Africa or Asia would walk. And I've travelled in Kenya.
How many kids were involved on the walk?
There were close to about 70 children, all in all, including the adults. About
were they raising money as well, or was it just
they raised, alhamdulillah, they raised enough money for 12 hand pumps, which is a fantastic achievement because it will help 800 families, inshallah. So if you think that they've raised 10 times in terms of their own number, in terms of participant numbers, for people across Africa or South Asia, the number of people that will actually access water.
If I could come over to the children, they're standing there with their fantastic placards. 1 billion needy. Ambreen, you're holding that one up nicely. Ambreen, how did it feel when you walked that far to think about children having to carry a big bucket of water, not just once, but every single day?
For me, it felt really hard because my legs got really tired, but holding something really heavy would get even more tired.
That's so you guys didn't carry any water?
No.
Just a bottle, probably.
Hasnain, what was it like?
It was good because the amount we walked was the amount that poor children had to walk to get clean water.
Does it make you think more about those children now? When you go and just turn on the tap and that water comes out, do you sometimes think about those children, Ambreen, now?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet
Not
you
all
do.
the time.
I bet you do. If I can come back to your bus, is this something that was planned to coincide with the G8? Because we know the G8 are coming to London this year, and we know that the theme is about global poverty and water poverty and stuff. Was that intentional?
Sorry, actually it was coincidental because we had planned this with a nun quite early on, because we have this as part of our curriculum in the evening school, where we try to teach the application of theoretical knowledge. So one of the reasons this walk was particularly important was that it's all good teaching children that sadaqah is very good and that zakat is a pillar of Islam, but if that doesn't transcend into practical application, then there's no point. So the important thing here was, And the reason why I keep coming back to this 2.8 miles was that they practically implemented the types of things we were teaching them in the masjid. But to go to your question, it was completely coincidental.
Now you also have on that placard over there, HelpFeed. What is that particular part of the organisation?
HelpFeed was an initiative that we began in 2011, 2012, and the main idea was to sort of initiate a global movement against hunger and poverty. We sort of campaigned quite heavily in UK and Europe. We carried out various workshops, and we held various workshops in conferences in Norway, Holland, and across the UK. But one of the most important things, I think, just to follow up on what you were saying as well, something that we sort of developed within the charity sector, travelling to various countries and seeing the way the charity sector has sort of moved in terms of the direction. I think sometimes it's quite easy to tell a child to donate £2 or £3 a day, but to sort of instill and empower the child, I always look at the 3 C's: compassion. I think a child should sort of have the sense of compassionate and empathy in terms of why he's giving the money or why he's giving the aid as well. And the second, courage. The child should have the courage to speak out for those people that don't have food or water in the third world. And the third is community as well, that the community should play a very effective role in terms of engaging children with the wider spectrum of the world that we live in. And it's like I said before, it's not...
And an excellent example indeed for our younger people. In fact, I was saying off air just then, I was saying one of the first things I remember in terms of charity work was doing a charity-sponsored walk with my parents. And I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I still remember that really clearly. Well, do stay with us.
Was that 19 what?
No, it's black and white it was. That's what it was. Long time ago. Anyway, do stay with us. We'll come back and ask you a few more questions in a moment. Moving on, and staying with the theme of charity work, one group of dedicated individuals in Jordan have been providing hot meals for those living below the poverty line.
Sadi Chaudhry has more details on this story for us.
Volunteers at a Jordanian charity are preparing to deliver food aid to thousands of people living in the kingdom. The charity, which was established more than a decade ago, aims to tackle hunger and poverty by distributing food to families. Initially set up by Queen Alia Al Hussein, Tikyat Ali was among the first of its kind in the country.
When the Tikyat was founded, its main goal was to feed people. And as you can see here, we are feeding almost anyone who walks through our doors. On a daily basis, we provide 400 to 500 hot meals to any passers-by. Hunger is present everywhere, and when speaking of hunger, we are specifically talking about poor nutrition. We are not talking about famine here in Jordan. Jordan is a country that meets high international standards. However, it is inevitable in all countries of the world to find some groups of people who have been tested by their lives. So it is our role to help these groups of people.
As well as the charity kitchen, the NGO also distributes food packages directly to families in need. Jordan is home to thousands of refugees, including Palestinians and those fleeing bloodshed in Syria. The charity doesn't have a specific program aimed at feeding Syrian refugees. They say the aim is to serve everyone and are looking to feed up to 20,000 families in the coming years.
Our future projects are mainly to expand our operations and the number of families we reach. As I said, currently we are providing for 6,000 families, and by the end of the year this number will rise to 8,200 families. But our strategic long-term plans for the Tikyat is to provide for all the families who live under the poverty line, which we approximate to be anywhere between 15 and 20,000 families.
There are around 20,000 families living on less than £265 a year in Jordan, so the charity certainly has its work cut out. It's run mainly from donations, and though it'll no doubt help thousands, you can only wonder how many thousands more will be left to go hungry.
We're talking about today, isn't it? Thinking about
people in countries, all those things we take for granted, basic food, warm meals, stuff like that.
Look, coming back to you guys, how long did it take to organise the walk? How difficult was it?
You want to go for that?
Boss, go for it.
Yeah. In terms of administration and operationally, not really long. It was more a case of motivating the children first.
That's what I was going to ask.
I think the children, they were slow to catch on to the concept, but once they actually caught on, because I ended up doing a presentation, And I think some of the visual images I showed the children were, resonated with them. And then after that, it was a real quick upsurge.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the old days for me when Lana just took out the stick and said, "Today you're going to walk."
Yeah, we have quite a slightly different strategy to them.
Do you think, I mean, as well as the fantastic result of 12 hand pumps, I mean, that's going to help hundreds and hundreds of children. And the kids must be inspired by that.
Yeah, definitely.
And is there going to be any way of feeding back to the kids, actually showing them footage of those hand pumps and the local children benefiting?
I think you're best placed.
Yeah, we promised the children, and as an organisation, inshallah, we will show them photos and video footages of the children drinking from the water hand pumps in South Asia. We're already running our own clean water projects in these countries. I think the children are looking forward to it. I think in August, I think they'll be looking forward to the photos.
Is it likely to be an annual event, do you think?
The thing is, this was something that we sort of thought about quite intensely over the past 2 to 3 weeks as well, especially speaking to the principal at MSIS. This is something that we want to extend to other mosques around the UK. We also have affiliate members across the UK, in Glasgow, in Dundee, Birmingham, Walsall, so we want to spread it to those mosques, and not just within our own Minhaj mosque, but we want to spread it to other mosques. I think the idea of encouraging children to come out and be the voice for change, and I think that's a quite strong message that
a great example,
mosques can take forward as well.
Great example to the wider community as well, to see our children out there. Kids, what's your message then to all those kids who are watching out there? Should they get involved, do this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you reckon, Hussein? You're staying quiet over there, you're not sure? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on, check your placards up a little bit. Let's see what they are.
End poverty now. 1 billion needy. You've got to say, end poverty now. Go on, Hussein.
End poverty now.
Well done. Say 1 billion needy.
1 billion needy.
Absolute stars.
Oh, look, just before we go, finally, how can people get in touch with the initiative?
You can contact me as the principal, in Romford Road, obviously Minhaj Quran International, London, or you can go to
minhajwelfare.org or HelpFeed.org as well.
Okay. Well, question of the day, our story of the day. Now, if you heard the number, you're not allowed to say, but if you didn't hear the number, I'll give you a guess. How many emails does the average British employee send and receive each year?
More than one.
More than one? You're definitely right. You might win a hamper. I think you might be beaten on that one.
Right.
What do you reckon?
More than one.
More than one. How many emails do you think people send and receive each year?
More than 10.
More than 10, yeah, you're definitely right.
Year.
Come on, Hasnain, give us a better example. Give us a...
Hasnain?
Come on, he's thinking.
More than 25.
More than 25.
He's the closest so
He's
far.
the closest so far. 25 a year is our limit.
That's our story of the day, is how many emails... Well, it's not just a story, it's a question of the day as well. Where's it?
And here, it's behind you, here. Look,
basically, the person who gets the closest, or bang on, the number of emails that are received by the average British employee per year, you will receive this beautiful hamper by Medina Medical Care, alhamdulillah.
That's right.
So Medina Healthcare, fantastic package.
It's our story of the day with a difference. So not only do you tell us about the story of the day, but you have a chance to win this. We want to hear the closest guess. How many emails a year?
And it's basically based on a survey that's been done by a number of organisations this morning. There's a whole load of them.
That's right.
And they basically said that people spend 9,000 hours a year in meetings, and also 83% of teachers of teachers said they were the happiest in their jobs. But we want to find out about the email scenario. How many emails does the average British worker receive per year and send?
If you want to be in with a chance of winning this hamper, listen up to these details.
For a chance to win this beauty hamper courtesy of Medina Healthcare Products, answer the following question. The average British worker sends and receives how many emails a year? Send us your answers to livingthelife@islamchannel.tv or tweet us at islamchannel using hashtag LTLife. The winner will be the person who guesses closest to the correct answer, so think carefully before sending us your guesses. For full terms and conditions, visit www.islamchannel.tv.
Straightforward.
That's it.
Do you tell them once again?
They know how to get in touch now.
Yep.
They've seen it all before.
Living the life at islamchannel.tv and Twitter, of course, at islamchannel, #live.
That's right. We're going to be reading your responses and seeing who the lucky winner is just after the break. See you in a moment.
Living the Life is sponsored by IslamicMarriage.com, celebrating Islam, nikah and zawaj.